this race is close.
Yes.
Harry. Historically close.
Historically close. You know, I just want to sort of zone out a little bit, go to 35,000 feet, and just point out how close this race has been consistently close. All right, campaigns where any candidate led by at least 5 points in the polls. Look, most of the time there's at least some stretch where one of the candidates is ahead by at least 5 points. At least 3 weeks in which one candidate led by at least 5 points. That happened in every single campaign from 1964 to 2020. How many days have we had this campaign where one candidate was ahead by at least 5 points nationally? Look at this. 0 days. 0 days. The fact is this race has been consistently tight in a way that we have never seen before, Mr. Berman.
This is always versus never.
Correct.
That's the difference between this campaign and every other campaign we've seen for the last 75 years or so. All right, the battleground polls that we're looking at. Give us some perspective on how close they are.
You know, sometimes we look at these 7 close states and, you know, you see all these numbers that are up there and you go, I can't make heads or tails of it. So I just want to sort of combine them and look at the Democrat versus Donald Trump in those 7 closest battleground states. Look at the 2020 final margin and average across these 7 states. It was Biden plus 0.9 points. You don't think that could get any closer? We can, in fact, get closer. Look right now, Kamala Harris up, get this, by just 0.6 points on average.
This is the reason why I think it's ridiculous that the Democrats are like running victory laps. It's dumb as fuck.
Only about half a point, 0.6 of a point. My goodness gracious. That is how tight we are talking right now across these 7 battleground states. It is a race, Mr. Berman, that is well within the margin of error when you look across these 7 key battleground states that will determine this election.
You look at this and you go, 0.3%. Then, you know, they're basically the same. But you're talking about actual vote margins that were so small. So show us the difference that a polling margin can make.
All right, so let's just say the polls match up perfectly to what the results end up being. Kamala Harris would win this election with 292 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 246. But let's just say we move the current polls and let's say the result differs by them by a single percentage point and Donald Trump is the beneficiary of it. Look at this. If Trump outperforms his current polls by just a single point, you take that Kamala Harris win and look at this. Donald Trump gets 287 electoral votes because the bottom line is Pennsylvania would flip up here and you would also get this flip out in Nevada over here. And that, my friends, is what we're talking about. We are talking about the closest campaign in a generation where a single point could make all the difference in the world. John, this is a truly exciting race right now where
It's just interesting because it's like there are some things that she could do to like lose no votes and win some in literally virtually all of these swing states. I don't see the Dems doing victory laps, bro. Everyone's saying ignore the polls and vote. That's not victory laps. First of all, I literally was at the heart. I was in the belly of the beast. That's what I'm referencing when I say that they were doing victory laps, like they were fucking dunking on Trump in Pennsylvania by like 10 points or some shit. That's number one. Number two, Democrats are running an objectively bad campaign. I'm sorry. It is what it is. You might not want to see it. You might not recognize it. They are running an objectively bad campaign. They might still win, but they are running an objectively bad fucking campaign. And that's why it's cut across on the momentum as I told you it would. It cut across on the enthusiasm as I told you it would since the DNC. Why? Because Americans, no matter how fucking stupid we are as a collective, are still not so stupid that we hear a president repeat like Biden-esque policies and not the good stuff, but only the bad stuff and moderate to the fucking center. And we go, oh, this is boring. This is lame. This sucks. This doesn't like genuinely improve my life. And I kept repeating this over and over and over again. And people kept telling me, Hasan, you're wrong. Hasan, you're wrong. I don't care about it. The proof is in the polls. Now, besides that, there is one through line that I am genuinely afraid of beyond the fact of the Democrats leaning right on immigration. There's one thing on foreign policy front that I absolutely am fearful of, not only for the future prospects of American society, but also, despite, this empire coming to an end, I'm also worried about it for the Democratic Party's chances of winning this election. You might not believe me. You might say, Hasan, you're secretly a cynical Gaza guy, and that's the only reason why you're just like trying to make a good, compelling argument like you want the Democrats to win. Regardless of my own personal motivation in this, when I do electoral analysis, when I do analysis on elections, I'm thinking about this from the perspective of what works. Okay, what I know would work. One thing that I've consistently talked about in this election cycle has been what? Democrats' warmongering attitude. This was a real killer for Hillary Clinton. This was a real deal breaker for a lot of people in the way that they examine Hillary Clinton. People have refused to hear this. Kamala Harris is repeating that mistake, making it seem as though it is good to come out and be like, yeah, I love war, hard dick military, hoorah. Americans don't give a fuck about the military like that. They care about like fake reverence for the veterans, but they don't actually care. And by and large, Americans do not think about like the 800 military bases on a regular. People are crying out for progressive policies. Such a fuck up. Yeah. One of the most popular policy prescriptions that Kamala Harris unveiled that has gotten a shit ton of right-wing, anti-policy sentiment has been price controls, okay? Targeting price gougers specifically. Very good way to frame this. That's currently polling at 89%. Now go ahead and poll the fucking startup, the bill that she unveiled in her bold, declarative economic agenda that's going to move America forward. We're going to give like startups in underserved communities $50,000. That's just not going to move the needle in the same way. Going after price gougers is at 83% approval rating, despite the fact that Republicans are fucking attacking it relentlessly and calling Kamala Harris a communist. Maybe, just maybe, looking at the actual material realities on the ground and identifying a fucking solution that every American can understand and putting forward a bold policy to combat that issue, to genuinely improve their lives, is a successful method. Now, why won't they do that for anything else? Because they want to lose. They're just fucking bad, I think. Beyond that, I haven't even gotten to the second part yet. Donald Trump is positioning himself as a peaceful dove. He did this successfully against Hillary Clinton in 2016, and it played a formative role in his victory over Hillary Clinton as the underdog in that race. Americans, by and large, find themselves to be peaceful people, even if America as a empire is built around death and destruction in the third world and the global south. Americans don't reckon with that. They don't think about that. They see themselves as peaceful people. And that's precisely the reason why Donald Trump's signaling that he's a peaceful guy, that he's a peaceful dove, no new wars under his 4 years, and also simultaneously saying like, well, look at all the wars that started under Joe Biden, that many Americans recognize is going to be a killer for the Kamala campaign. The Democratic Party is ideologically a warmongering party, though. They're not running scared. They're doing what they believe for once in a campaign. No, the Democratic Party is supposed to, at the very least, aesthetically position themselves as the anti-war party.
Any slight movement can make all the difference in the world.
And even more exciting because you are here with us.
Thank you, John.
As we've been noting this morning, we're just 2 months out from the election. The first ballot's set to be mailed out this afternoon, and this race is so incredibly close. CNN's latest polling shows an incredibly tight race across 6 battleground states, and it is closer. It is so close in Pennsylvania. It is the closest of these contests, the Keystone.
She's also losing in she's losing support in Michigan, which I said she would when everybody started identifying her with Joe Biden's continuation of the genocide in Gaza. Like, that's something that's very troubling. I don't think pandering to single issue voters is worth regarding Gaza when it's combined with how less of a priority foreign policy is. Focusing on domestic wins is a good campaign plan by Harris. You're absolutely wrong. And every poll that has been conducted on this has shown that there are tens of thousands of fucking voters that are ready to go. Tens of thousands of voters in states where the Democratic Party won or lost by smaller margins, as a matter of fact. If it's a gimme, why the fuck won't you actually take it? Also, she's not even doing any of the domestic wins, which is why I'm frustrated additionally. Like, what domestic wins is she fucking promoting? In every swing state, there have been polls conducted on this matter. And time again, large percentages of voters, do you think they'd sit through considering Trump's signaling complete annexation? That is the biggest, most idiotic, most bloodless, cold-hearted Democratic Party analyst-ass calculation I've ever seen. Yes, you dumbass. Their fucking family members are being killed. Please. This is literally what Hillary Clinton did. I'm losing my fucking mind. I don't think pandering to single issue. What do you mean pandering to single issue voters is worth it? You don't do that if those single issue voters are not like constituting a significant enough significant enough percentage of the fucking voter block that is willing and able to go out and vote for the Democrats, number one. And number two, more importantly, perhaps, if you pander to them, quote unquote, pander to them, by the way, this is the anti-genocide vote, okay? If you pander to them, there is not a single vote you will lose. There are, however, very real voters to the numbers are tens of thousands in places like Georgia and hundreds of thousands in places like fucking Michigan, okay, where she is slowly but surely losing support in the polls, as you can see. The more she associates herself with Biden in terms of the Gaza policy, where there is literally no vote to lose and you only stand to gain. It is idiotic, completely idiotic. You're throwing